This is my copy of the Ramana Gita. You can see it was underneath it, composed by Sri Vashistha Ganapati Muni, who was one of the early devotees of Bhagavan. And he recorded conversations in the form of Ramana Gita. It was published fairly early on in, let's say, Bhagavan's teaching career. And it was touted as one of the best summaries of Bhagavan's teachings at that time. So many people thought of this as being the essential summary of Bhagavan's teachings in Bhagavan's early teaching career, if we can put it that way. Nura is read from chapter 2, verse 2. I'm going to read it as well, Nura, for everybody, if that's okay. Yes, chapter 2 is entitled The Three Paths. Verse 2, in the interior of the heart cave Brahman alone shines in the form of the Atman with direct immediacy as I. Enter into the heart with questing mind, or by diving deep within, or through control of the breath, and abide in the Atman. And verse 3 says, whoever understands this verse, the essence of Vedanta, uttered by Bhagavan Maharshi, will never again be assailed by doubt. Yeah. Oh, I can see in the next few verses it kind of explains a little bit. But I can stop there, Nura, and let you speak. Basically, so the language being used, the heart cave, the interior of the heart cave Brahman alone shines in the form of Atman with direct immediacy as I. Heart cave is a phrase that is found in the Vedas and the Upanishads in several places. Brahman, which is your true self, or the absolute, let's say. Brahman is the absolute, is found in the heart cave, cave of the heart. It says this many places in Vedanta teachings. And heart here means the essence, or it means the center of something. You know, we say the heart of something. We're not talking about the physical biology of the heart. We're talking about the essence of something, the center of something. Yeah, the heart of the matter, the heart of something is the centralmost point. So this heart cave is the essence of what we are. So Brahman, which is the absolute, the Godhead, the divinity, is Atman. Atman means ourself. It means I. It means me. So Brahman is Atman, means it is what I truly am. You'll see in places in the Upanishads, in spiritual literature, Atman means spiritual self, if I can put it that way. But you'll also see that Atman is used just to mean I as well. In some places, it just means, it's just referring to the person, I. So when they say Brahman is Atman, what they're saying is you are the self. The self actually is a translation of Atman. Because Atman means myself. And Atman is Brahman, means myself is God, Brahman, the spirit. And where is it found? In the heart cave. Heart cave just means deep, deep within. Not in the body, not in the mind, not in the world, but deep, beyond these, beyond the material phenomena in our heart. It means that you will not find it looking for it outside of you. If you go into a forest and look for Brahman, you look for God there, you look for your true self in the forest, you won't find it. You go into outer space, You try and look for yourself in outer space, you won't find it. Yeah. You even explore your body. You try and look into the body. You try and find Brahman, you won't find it within the tissues, within the cells of the body. You have to go deeper, beyond all these. Discover what you are. In the interior of the heart cave Brahman alone shines in the form of Atman with direct immediacy as I. That means true God, the true Brahman, is just me, I, shining in my heart, the essence of what I am. It shines as I am. I is what I am. Let's see. Enter into the heart, and then, as you say, there are 3 different methods. Either with questing mind, which is who am I, diving deep within, which is to abide as the self, go towards the self, or through control of breath. Bhagavan does talk about breath control as a means to helping quieten the mind. I think he might even talk about it in Ramana Gita. Let me just see. Yes, here we go. Chapter 6. Chapter 6, verse 5. Or chapter 6 is called mind control. Control of mind. In chapter 6, verse 4, with the control of breath, control of thoughts also is achieved. When thoughts are controlled, one stands established at their source, meaning the self. Verse 5. In verse 5, he explains how to control the breath. Control of breath means merely watching with the mind the flow of breath. Okay. What you'll find in Ramana Gita is a very simple, wonderful, and strange text. But what you'll find is everything is logically explained in the text. You'll find the answer to almost every question that is raised in the text is answered in the text at some point. So all the terms are kind of defined. You'll see everything's like questions and answers in Ramana Gita. But you'll find that whenever Bhagavan's, what Ganapati Muni has done, this is why it was such a popular introduction to Bhagavan's teachings, is that every time Bhagavan says a phrase, the questioner says, what do you mean by that phrase? And then Bhagavan has to explain what he means. And then if he explains what he means, and he uses a couple of other specialist words when he explains what he means, the questioner will say, what does that one mean? What does that one mean? And this is a very traditional method of unfolding the teaching. You'll see this in Buddhist teachings, you'll see this in Hindu teachings. The student will say, how do I gain liberation? And then the guru will say, by X, Y, and Z. And the guru will say, what is X? And then the answer will come. Next question, what is Y? And then the answer will come. What is Z? And then the answer will come. You see the Ramana Gita follows this same kind of pattern. So we discover through breath control allows us to quieten the mind. He talks about different ways of using breath control. The simplest one is just to watch the breath. Now, watching the breath alone will make the mind still. But when we stop watching the breath, the mind will become noisy again. So it's a relatively good way of calming the mind, but it doesn't permanently end ignorance by itself. Usually it can by grace, but usually it won't unless we understand what we are. So controlling the breath is a wonderful way of calming the mind, and then we can do one of the 2 other methods, which is with inward questing mind, meaning self-inquiry, or diving deep within, which is another word for self-inquiry, actually. So my take on the breath control thing is breath control, or watching the breath, or on any other kind of breath control, pranayama, any other kind of pranayama, where you can inhale for a certain number of seconds, hold the breath in inhalation for a certain number of seconds, exhale for a certain number of seconds, hold the breath in exhalation for a certain number of seconds. This kind of thing you can do if you like as well. Best to have some kind of teacher to do that. It can teach you how to do that. Specialized yogic breathing. It's quite easy to learn. Incidentally, I was taught this at a very young age. Not very young age. I was taught this maybe I was 9 or 10 years old. So I was taught this at a fairly young age. And it really helped me clear my mind and see things very clearly. I was taught it in my mother taught me pranayama, and she taught me yoga, and she taught it to me like she said to me, she used to call me Tommy when I was younger. She said, Tommy, you do this will help you, this will help you have a clear mind, it will help your intelligence. If you do the pranayama, it'll make you happier, and if you do the yoga, it will help you be healthy. So it was very secular. It was even though my mother was a very spiritual person, I was taught to do this just for healthy body, healthy mind, healthy intellect, and a happy mind. But essentially, back to your question, Nuria, pranayama helps calm the mind. And then we can use the calm mind to investigate who we are. That's the way I would see it. I'm very happy you're reading this text, by the way, Nuria. Very happy. Verse 4 of chapter 2, which is we read verses 2 and 3. Verse 4 says, in the first half of this verse, referring to verse 2, Bhagavan has pointed out the location of the self in this visible body of 5 elements, namely in the heart, meaning in the center of the body, meaning beyond the body, actually. There itself, verse 5 goes, there itself, identification of the self is affirmed, distance from God is denied. That's lovely, isn't it? Identification of the self is affirmed, difference from God is denied, and direct experience is affirmed, thus dismissing the various descriptive marks of the self. I won't go into what that means now because that's a slight digression. In the second half, verse 6 goes, in the second half, so the rest of the chapter is all commenting on this verse 2. Verse 2 is the essence of Vedanta, the essence of Bhagavan's teaching, essence of Vedanta, which I assume is why you've chosen this verse, Nuria, is because it says it's the essence of Bhagavan's teaching, the essence of Vedanta. Yeah, verse 2, in the interior of the heart cave, Brahman alone shines in the form of the Atman with direct immediacy as I. Enter into the heart with questing mind, or by diving deep within, or through control of the breath, and abide in the Atman. See, so you can enter into the heart by either with using who am I, questing mind. Questing mind means the mind that's seeking, the mind that's searching, the mind that's questing, the mind that's questioning. Who am I? This is one way to still the mind. Another way is by diving deep within. And the other one is through control of the breath. And then when you've done these things, it says, then abide in the self. So these 3 techniques are there to silence the mind, and then you can abide as the self. So the following verses comment on that verse too. Verse 6 says, in the second half, instruction is given for the practice by the discipline of 3 different methods, which are in essence one. So it's trying to make clear that these three different methods are just actually the same method of becoming still. In verse 7, the first path is termed Margana, quest. The second, Majjana, which is diving in. The third is Prana Rodha, which means control of breath, means control of prana. And then that's the end of the chapter. This is the second chapter entitled The Three Paths in Sri Ramana Gita, the science of Brahman and the scripture of yoga, composed by the Ramana's disciple Vashistha Ganapati, who's Ganapati Muni. The third chapter goes on to explain a similar thing again. The third chapter is called the paramount task. The paramount task means the most important task. What's the task you should do? That is explained in chapter 3, which is 12 verses long.